Hello and welcome to video 3. I have just noticed an enormous problem. The sound that this video is going to be about is this one down here. Very simple sound. However, whoops, which one is it? I was picking through the effects trying to remember how I made it so I could make this video, and suddenly noticed, why is there a bit crusher at all the default settings? And then realised that this bit crusher is glitchy as hell and doesn't save its state with the project. So every single bit crusher, not that I'll be able to find another one now I've said that, anywhere in the project hasn't had its state saved and it's just sitting at the default settings doing nothing. So, and I wonder how did I not even notice this whole time while I was making the song that the bit crushers weren't doing anything. But never mind. Anyway, I'm going to go into a new project and start the sound from scratch, and then come back into this one because there's a million effects to talk about. So, as always, the bass sound is simple as could possibly be imagined. It was literally just Citrus, default patch. And always, when I'm doing something in Citrus that doesn't involve very much FM, I'll turn on declick and band limit. And I don't know if I did this in the other sound, but it's worth talking about because it just sounds so much nicer. Because I've done this before, but if I turn off band limiting, take a look at how messy it is up here. That's very loud. I'll tell you what, I'll mute it so you don't die. Then you can't bloody hear it, can you? I'm such an idiot. I'll just turn it down a bit. Look how messy it is, but when I turn on band limiting, look what changes. I'm currently editing and I noticed that I missed out kind of an important detail, and that is that when you band limit something, even though it cuts out lots of the high frequencies so it doesn't sound terrible, it changes the shape of the wave so it's not perfect anymore. So if you had a saw wave, now you've band limited it, it will be slightly wobbly. So if you want to get an idea of the effect, turn on a wave candy and look through that at the shape of the wave. Now, this isn't really much of a problem if you're just listening to it. If it's something that you hear directly, band limiting it will make it sound less harsh. But if you're using it to FM something, so it will sound wrong. It will basically mess it up if it's band limited because it's not the right shape. So, generally as a rule of thumb, although this is music, so there are no laws, but generally as a rule, you should, if you're hearing it directly, probably band limit it. And if you aren't, if it's just being used as something to FM something else to, don't bother band limiting it because it'll probably ruin it. Anyway, back to the video. So I turn it on so your ears don't explode. Turn on declicking and Gibbs off. Go and Google what the Gibbs effect is, it's very important. So, the actual sound was just that, but a triangle wave. And the most important part of the sound really is the pitch envelope. So get rid of everything except the sustain part. And a pretty interesting FL Studio trick. If you hold the shift key, you can take any automation clip point and move it left and right without, because I'm holding shift, it's not going up and down. So that's a thing for you to remember. And all I did was move it to the left, bring it right down like that, and then turn it on. It was probably a bit faster than that. And that was it. And an interesting way of making sort of old video game style chords is just take a square wave of some variety and just take the two notes you want to make, or three notes you want to make a chord with, and play them very, very fast. So something like that, and then just make them fade out, and then, you know, copy that for another chord. So that's basically how you make old ass chords, and all this is just that, but only once with a pitch envelope, which sounds very similar to. I shouldn't have deleted that other one. very similar to something along these lines. So that's all that's going on there. And that, believe it or not, is the whole bass sound except for a little volume envelope to make it sort of plucky. That's the whole citrus. So now we go back into the original project and take a look at the effects. There we go. Now we've sat through maybe 10 to 20 seconds of agonizing wait. We are finally here, and I'll find the effects. Number 26. Okay. So there's our useless bit crusher and an OTT as always. In fact, I'll turn off everything. OTT isn't really worth explaining. Cut out the lows, which I should have really used an EQ for, to be honest, but I turned off the low band completely by dragging this all the way to the left. So there's just high. Can't really hear it anyway, but whatever. Reverb, pretty obvious, except this was turned off. There is no reverb, so I should have deleted that really. EQ for pretty obvious reasons. Sounds better that way, I suppose. Mixing reasons, fits in better with everything else. Dimension Expander, simple as hell project. It utilises the Haas effect. H-A-A-S effect. That's another thing for you to Google. It basically just copies the signal twice and then pans them slightly left and right. And just a regular delay, I suppose. Whoops, that was not correct. And there is the whole of the sound. Now the bit crusher was supposed to sound something like this, I suppose. Something along those lines. Because when you have something that changes pitch, especially like a laser through a bit crusher, it creates loads of weird aliasing effects that I don't really understand, but it sounds very cool when something changes pitch through a bit crusher. Especially quickly. So, put your lasers through a bit crusher, boys and girls. And I panned it left. Why, I am not sure. I think it just helps it stand out better, I suppose. Makes you notice it more. And because it's so quiet, you don't really get the ear rape that you would if you panned something more important to the left. So, that is it. That is this sound in a nutshell. Next, I'll probably talk about... where the hell is it? This lead. Until then, fuck off.